Hey you guys, what is up? As promised, I am doing a deck profile on the Rayquaza Eels list that I played at the Des Plaines City Championships as part of the Chicago Marathon and ended up getting second at. Just want to go over the list, talk about the cards, why I ran what I ran, just, give you guys a feel for what the deck really is in my opinion, and, how I liked building this deck myself. So what you're looking at right now is the list that I ran card for card at the Des Plaines City Championships. You'll note for attackers, I'm running 3 Rayquaza EX. He's your main attacker. He's basically just the guy you need to run 3 of. He's a great starter in the deck. He can actually do a lot of damage turn 2. Just that turn 2 Dragon Burst actually can be really effective. So I really like starting 3 or playing 3 in this deck just so you have them. You don't have to worry about them. You can afford to Ultra Ball one away. You're probably never going to need more than 2 on the field, but it's nice to have the third one. So that's why I run 3 of those. I run 1 Keldeo EX. He's a really, really fun tech. I just love it. Russian is a really great ability. It prevents your eels from being stalled up in the catcher spot, or in the active spot with catcher. And just a really great card. Secret Sword can hit, or Sacred Sword, whichever it is, can hit 100 on Landorus due to weakness, which is pretty nice. I like that as well. But mainly you play him for Russian. You can play it with Prisms and actually deal more damage with Sacred Sword, but I haven't really tested that version as much. I also ran 1 Raikou. He was really just kind of there for sniping. Paralysis is helpful, and just really good in the Eel Mirror match, which isn't as important. I'm not sure if I'd still run that card today. And last, for my attackers, I ran a regular Rayquaza. I think he's still fantastic. Great counter to Sigilyph. Pretty much automatically KOs a Sigilyph, unless I guess they have the giant cape or something like that. But really, really good card. Just good against most attackers. And then, of course, the 4-4 line of Eelektrik. I run all 4 Thunderwave Dynamos. You can say that the Spark one or whatever is good, where you do 10 and 10. But I rather be able to paralyze just by that turn if I can. Even with Russian and high switch and super scoop up counts in the format, I still prefer paralysis. For supporters, I ran 4 Juniper, 4N, just standard. I don't feel like you can run anything other than those in this deck. And then I ran 3 Bianca. I just like the draw. You discard a lot with Ultra Ball. You play down your Dynamos really quickly, your level balls, things like that. It just feels like you play a lot of the cards from hand from this deck just pretty quickly. So with that in mind, I decided to play a decent Bianca count of 3. I also played 2 Skylar just to be able to search out for that extra level ball or catcher or, super, anything you need basically. It's just a handy card to have, especially with computer search in the format. So let's move on to the trainers, which I think are probably the most interesting part of this deck that I ran. You're going to see right off the bat that I ran 4 Ultra Ball, and I felt it was really important to run 4 Ultra Ball just because that way you can search out your attackers as you need them, as well as your Eelektrik line. Both of those are really important things, getting out that second Rayquaza EX, or the Keldeo when you need it, or the Raikou, or even the secret rare Rayquaza. Just having the Ultra Ball for those cards is very, very important, as well as being able to set up your Eelektriks. Furthermore, I ran 4 Level Ball as well, which I think is probably one of the more surprising cards that I ran, just running 4 of it. And the thinking behind that is you just need to get out your Dynamos very quickly. You need to get out your Eels just as quickly, basically, or really a turn afterwards. So I just like having the search potential. Having that many cards that allow you to get Dynamos and Eelektriks on the field just really helps with this deck. And it really has great synergy with Bianca. You end up drawing more, I feel like, because you can just play down these level balls just very quickly, and it ends up dropping your hand down. Another interesting thing is that I only ran 3 catchers in this deck, which is sort of a gamble. There were times where I wish I had the 4th one and it would have helped, but at the same time, Rayquaza Eelektrik is just a deck that hits like a truck and is really meant to be able to take out whatever's attacking, take the energy off the field, rather than anything else. It should be able to just one-shot things. So if you're powering through like that, catcher isn't really as important of a card, so I felt like I could sacrifice the 4th one. I wouldn't go below 3 though. It's still a fantastic card, still really effective in this deck, helps out a lot, and just no reason to run anything other than 3 or 4. So on to Switch. I only ran 3 Switch, but keep in mind I did have the Keldeo tech. Switch is still a very helpful card in this deck. Helped abused by Skyro Bridge. Switch is just fantastic, and I would definitely keep a count of at least 2 to 3 in this deck at this point. the interesting card that I ran 2 of that the Top Cut noted on their video commentary of me playing this deck is that I ran 2 Super Rods. It just felt really comfortable. I felt like people just target Eelektrik so much that having 2 Super Rods is a really helpful thing. There's not much else to say than that. I really like recovery, and it just made me feel more comfortable running the deck. Onto my one of trainers, I ran 1 computer search just to boost consistency, an energy search so you can grab your fire when you need it, or a lightning. I really like that card because it effectively increases your counts of both lightning and fire in your deck. Just for searching capabilities, it also lets you Skyla for things. Just opens up a lot of extra possibilities. I also run 1 tool scrapper. It really helps with Eviolites. Eviolite usually forces you to discard 4 lightning on a dragon burst to one-shot an EX, where this brings it back down to 3. It also can help against things like Garbodor should you run into them, though usually Garbodor is a pretty rough matchup. But just a tool scrapper is a really handy card to have. I then ran 2 Skyo Bridge, which I didn't know was that not standard anymore. I think it was standard at one point. I just like 2 simply because you don't know what's going to happen with prizes. It really makes the deck function and flow. People are playing Tropical Beach, Pokemon Center, Aspertia City Gym. It was just handy to have 2, and just really a card that I enjoyed playing 2 of for that reason. Lastly, I ran 8 Lightning Energy and 4 Fire Energy. The 8 Lightning I felt like is pretty standard. The 4 Fire is 1 less than standard, I think, but with the Energy Search and 2 Super Rods, I had a lot more liberties, a lot more ability to get them, and I felt a lot more comfortable with that count because of the additional counts I ran to kind of support my 4 Fire Energy. So now let's look at something a little bit different. This is the same deck, but with changes that I've been thinking about making. Some really minor ones, actually. As you can see, I've actually decided to replace my Raikou with a Mewtwo. I felt like Raikou wasn't very helpful in a lot of matchups. Mewtwo is still really good. It helps against a fully loaded Keldeo in like a really pressure spot. You'd really only need 1 Eel in play to be able to kind of stop that. It's just still a really good attacker. It would help against Darkrai, just not having a lot of Eels in play. Those situations, Mewtwo seems like he would be fantastic in this deck. And Raikou is really only good for the mirror right now. It's okay for some other stuff. It one-shots Tornadus EX, but I just don't feel like it's the card it used to be. So I'm actually going to probably switch that out for a Mewtwo. The other change that I've made is that I've actually switched out one of my Skyla for a 4th Bianca. I just felt like Skyla wasn't always all that helpful, although I'm not really sure Bianca is the right answer. It's just something I want to try messing around with. It's not a switch I'm as sure of, whereas the Mewtwo switch I definitely think is the right play. Some other cards that I've been trying to toy with are maybe running Prism Energy. That would allow me to Secret Sword or Sacred Sword or whatever with Keldeo for more damage. Additionally, you could also play some other interesting techs with prisms, including Sigilyph, which I think could really work well for this deck. People always blow all their catchers on Tynamos and Eels, and really having that Sigilyph when your opponents played all their catchers can be just game-breaking. Lastly, Max Potion would definitely be a helpful card against things like Darkrai with the bench damage. I don't really know how I could fit Max Potion in here. I'm going to toy around some more, see if I can, but it's definitely another viable tech, at least as a one-of, especially with Skyla in the format. So I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Make sure you rate, like, comment, subscribe, and do all that good stuff. I'll come out with you with more deck profiles. I know it's something I haven't been doing as much of in terms of sharing lists, going over lists, talking about it, and I know it's something you guys really like. So I hope you guys appreciate this one. This is a list that I did really well with. It's probably, it's the most points I've gotten from any event so far this season. So, just again, try and, click the subscribe button. It helps a lot. And I'll catch you later, guys.